So it looks like the wheels are in motion for David Price to fight Eric Molina later on this year. An exact date has not yet been announced, as far as I can see anyway. Maybe some of you have got some more information on it, but as far as I can find, no exact date has been announced. A lot of people I've seen online are straight away saying David Price is going to get knocked out. Personally, I think this is a very winnable fight for David Price. Eric Molina did knock out Adamek, we all saw that, but that was a very old and faded Adamek. And Adamek is a blown up light heavyweight anyway, who was right there in front of Eric Molina. And yes, Adamek always was durable, but you know, there's only so much punishment that a body can take, and even punch resistance eventually starts to go into decline. Not necessarily saying that was the case with Adamek, because Molina can punch. He hurt Chris Arreola when they fought, and I think that was a much fresher version of Chris Arreola than Deontay Wilder faced. And he obviously rocked Wilder a couple times when they fought. So he can punch, but he's not a pressure fighter, Molina. And on top of that, he's not the toughest guy around the whiskers himself. He don't have the greatest punch resistance. So I think David Price will probably get to him before he gets to Price. That's my feeling on it. If he does get to Price, if he does land a big shot, then sure, you can hurt him. But as I say, my feeling is that Price will probably get to him first. He's much taller. He's got decent boxing skills. He's strong. He's got a good jab. And yeah, I don't think Molina's going to be able to walk through fire. I think when he fought Wilder, yes, he did have success, but every time Wilder touched him, even with a half grazing blow, Molina was hurt or Molina went down. And I think it was a case of Wilder performing poorly rather than Molina performing well. That's just my opinion. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh on Molina, but that's just how I feel. I don't think Molina's that good. And I think Wilder had a really, really bad night. And he seems like a very erratic performer, Deontay Wilder. Sometimes to me he looks good, other times he looks poor. So, yeah, I think this is a winnable fight for Price. And if he can do a better job than Deontay Wilder, which I don't think is out of the question, by the way. Styles do make fights. And again, Molina's not a pressure fighter. He's strong, he can punch, but don't have the greatest chin himself. And he's going to have to come forward and try and get at David Price. David Price, for all his faults, he may not be as athletic as Deontay Wilder. He may not be as fast, but he's not as wild. He's not as erratic. His boxing style is more structured. So I think he may well be able to go in there and do the business against Mr. Molina. Let me know how you feel, though. Some of you may disagree. Some of you may think I'm rating David Price a bit too highly. Some of you may feel I'm rating Molina a bit too low, and actually he may have better skills than I'm giving him credit for. But I think a guy at this stage who's really gonna give David Price problems is a guy with a good chin. Because say what you like about Erkan Tepa, I mean, well, he was high as a kite. You know, he was juiced up to the eyeballs. So when you're that high on performance-enhancing drugs, it may well increase your physical strength and also your ability to absorb punishment. So with all that, he was able to take whatever David Price hit him with. Erkan Tepa I'm talking about. He was able to take whatever David Price hit him with and just walk through Price and hit Price with big shots. Erkan Tepa is a pressure fighter. That's the thing about him. And as I say, Molina is not, from what I've seen anyway. He's not a pressure fighter. He's a guy who kind of boxes his way in. He's not all-out pressure. And I think giving David Price distance will allow Price to get his shots off. You know, a guy that's going to give David Price problems is a guy like an Erkan Tepa who's just going to walk him down, get on the inside, rough him up. I mean, there are several styles that could give David Price problems, but if you're talking about a guy who's significantly shorter, like Molina is, who's about the same height as Tepa, then you're going to need to be a pressure fighter to trouble David Price, unless you're a really athletic guy like a David Haye, which Molina isn't, obviously. So those are my thoughts on it, people. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, all right? Do you think David Price can win this fight? Do you think he can't? Do you think it's a good fight for him? Do you think it's not? Personally, I think it is a good fight for him. because Molina is somewhat of a name now, having given a decent account of himself against Wilder and also knocked out Adamek. So I think it's a good opponent for Price. I think a name, but somebody who's vulnerable as well. Yeah, that's how I feel. Let me know how you feel in the comment section below. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.